tell me where the Ambassador Hotel is? I thought it was on this block, and I don't recognize it.
Hello, I'm Paula Price. With me today is Evan Tonsing, professor of music at Oklahoma State University and teacher of a course in world music on campus. He's here today to help preview a concert Friday night at the Saratine Center Concert Hall. It's called The Mystical Arts of Tibet, Sacred Music, Sacred Dance for World Healing. It features monks from the Drepung Loseling Monastery in India. Since its music is far removed from our own Western European backgrounds, I thought Evan could help our ears get ready to experience the sights and sounds of this unique concert. Evan, some really extraordinary sounds there opening our program today. What were we hearing, actually?
You're hearing the most distinctive type of vocal sound from Tibet, which is this very low chanting of sacred texts. And it's so magical. It always does something to me. It always affects my mood. And that's one of the reasons why they're doing it, although they believe that music actually affects the real world. For us, perhaps, who are not believers in that particular religion, it certainly does affect the way we feel, our mood.
This music goes back a great deal, many years, does it not?
Yes, it is very old music, and it not only is it very old, it's very unique because of the Himalayan mountains. Tibet was hidden behind that, and because of that, they didn't have much influence from other countries, so their music is quite unique.
And Tibet itself and the history of Buddhism in Tibet has a rather tragic history.
Well, it depends upon your way of looking at it. The actual history of Buddhism coming to Tibet for Tibetans is a wonderful thing. It's highly celebrated. The man who went over those formidable mountains to bring Buddhism to Tibet is revered almost as much as Buddha himself, and it became the center of their life. Actually, it isn't really straight Buddhism that was brought, it combined with the beliefs that were already there. So Tantric Buddhism is also mixed with the native religion of shamanism. So it's a mixture. It's a strange mixture of religion in a country that has a very unique culture.
But Buddhism did suffer a horrible fate as far as what happened to the monasteries with the invasion of the Chinese.
China has always maintained the notion that Tibet is part of China, and they began to insist on that, and they came in the 1950s and began to dominate, really, and took over Tibet, to the extent that the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, had to escape at night from Tibet, a very long trek, and he and part of his retinue escaped and set up living in India, and other monks escaped. But it's tragic in that the Chinese didn't just close the monasteries, they destroyed them. There are varying accounts of the number of monasteries in Tibet. I've seen accounts that there are 3,000. You and I have seen accounts that it's 6,000 or 8,000. But however many thousand there were, they were all destroyed except for parts, about 13 or 12, that are still standing. The rest were destroyed. And the monks and nuns were put in concentration camps and executed and subjected to horrible tortures. And it's, to a certain extent, still going on.
And the monks that will be visiting OSU this week actually come from that tradition of the Drepung Loseling Monastery. And one of the interesting things I think about this whole group of monks and their chanting is their ability to sing more than one note at a time. That makes them quite unique.
Yes. in Tibet, they did have the technique called multiphonics. And multiphonics means that an instrument or a voice that normally produces one sound produces two or more sounds. And the way they do it, I've tried to find out, the way they do it is they sing a very low note and then they shape their mouth so that it reinforces one of the overtones of that low notes and actually makes it audible. And when those two notes are sounded, occasionally, if they're wonderfully in tune, a third note, a resultant tone, will happen from that. So basically, they're singing a low note, and they form the vocal cavity so that it reinforces a harmonic of that low note. And if it's loud enough and pure enough, it'll produce a third tone. So they actually sing chords.
Let's hear an example of that. And there at the end, is that where we're hearing the resultant chords?
Yes, you're hearing the leader doing this remarkable effect. It's actually, according to reports I have, although I don't have recordings of it, it's also found in Siberia. Some literature says it's only found in Tibet, but I have read that it is also found in Siberia.
Any idea how long the training for this takes, or are they able to pass this down to where they can train someone quickly, or is it a lifetime of working at it?
I do not know. All I know is there are a couple of music faculty members that can do that sort of thing.
No kidding.
Staff, yes.
Oh.
So they've learned the trick of doing that. So at any rate, it is something that normal people can learn. I have also heard a story that I'm not quite sure whether it's true or not, that it is damaging to the vocal cords, so you would not want to do that too long. But I don't know if that's true.
This is Paula Price, and I'm talking with Evan Tonsing of the OSU Music Department, who is professor of music there and teacher of world music as well, about the monks coming to Stillwater, their concert Friday evening, The Mystical Arts of Tibet. These monks are from the Drepung Losaling Monastery in India. Evan, we also know that instruments are very important to Buddhist ritual, and from what I've seen of the publicity pictures of this group, it will be a feast for the eyes and ears as well. Costume, instruments, dance at Friday night's concert. And often when you see them posed, they bring out the giant trumpets. What do you know about these big trumpets that are useful in the Buddhist ritual?
Well, what I know is, truthfully, if they took one of our trumpets, our regular trumpets, and straightened it out so it was all in one line, it would be pretty nice size too. But yes, these are very long trumpets, anywhere from 5 feet to 12 feet long. It's not a single piece of metal, however. Fortunately, it's in sections that they fit together, so it's easy to carry around. And it doesn't have any valves or anything. All it can do is play what we call the natural notes of the overtone series. One of the things about all of the instruments they use, though, Paula, is that unlike Western musicians, if we have two instruments playing the same thing, we try and match exactly. They don't. They try and be slightly apart because they are interested in the sound that results from two instruments playing pitches very slightly out of tune. And as I remembered from my early days in church, there was also an organ stop that had that had two sets of pipes, and they were slightly out of tune. It produces a sort of a shimmering effect.
Did you bring along an example of these long trumpets today?
Yes, I did. Let's hear it.
My, what a haunting sound.
I know. I have to laugh when I hear that because I reminded of a student in world music class that referred to it as sort of like traffic jam. Well, there's a reason for that, and I would like to tell you about the reason. It is a racket. It is a whole bunch of noise, and they do that to get the attention of the gods.
And that gets them closer to nature as well?
That gets their attention.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a celebratory piece. It was called The Sound of Delight, and it actually was performed by the monks of the Drepung Loseling Monastery, who will be in concert Friday evening, January 24th at OSU's Saratine Center. I noticed also, Evan, that there were some high-pitched horns there, drums and cymbals. Now, what is the addition of these instruments? What are the horns all about?
Well, the horns are actually what we would call oboes. They have a lip disc, however, that fits against the lips, and the reed itself fits in the mouth. And essentially, they're used in much the same way the horns are, except they have finger holes and they play notes. But they're slightly out of tune with each other, and it's on purpose. It's on purpose. The cymbals are also a favorite instrument of theirs because they also use cymbals for meditation. They just play cymbals and meditate on it. And when they clash the cymbals together, they listen to the sound that's produced after they clash.
So they like the extra ringing.
The extra ringing. Yeah. So at any rate, those are used for meditation.
Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting week with the monks from the Drepung Loseling Monastery of Tibet on campus this week. It's possible to hear this centuries-old music, and they're also producing a sand mandala over at the Gardner Art Gallery each day of the week. There'll be lectures going on. And then, Evan, you'll be on hand the night of the concert for the Inside Story. And can you tell us and invite people to join you?
Well, yes, this is going to be in Saratine Center, room 132. The concert itself is in the Saratine Center Concert Hall, and immediately opposite that room is room 132, the core room, where at 7 we'll have the Inside Story. And I have not yet been told whether one or more of the monks will join me there, but I'll be giving some background information, hopefully give people a frame of view where they can enjoy this music. I have learned to love it a great deal. It's really wonderful.
It's a way for us to kind of open our eyes and ears to a culture far away from ours and very different from ours. And I think if we just allow ourselves to be receptive to it, we'll learn a lot.
Yes. Also, the idea that in another culture, music is used as a powerful tool to affect peace in the world. That's a wonderful idea. So many cultures value music so highly. In our culture, we tend to think of music mainly because of its business connotations as mere entertainment. Not musicians, however. If you talk to a real musician like you'll realize that wow, it's more than just entertainment. It's almost a kind of religion. So this is a culture that recognizes that. It says music is an extraordinarily important spiritual tool. And so when you go to that concert, you're going to be hearing music that is highly, highly respected.
Well, if we open ourselves to it, I think we can find a way to be touched by that. The concert begins at 8 o'clock in the Saratine Center on January 24th. Tickets are available by calling 744-7100 or by going to the Student Union Hub. And again, this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime event. We're not talking about very obscure group of people. These are well-known worldwide people. I believe they've performed with Paul Simon. They've been on national network TV. They're part of Richard Gere's group here in the United States, and they're on a world tour. They're also trying to help the plight of the monks in Tibet.
Yes, not only are they trying to promote world peace, but also they're trying to get support for the refugees. But also for us, it will be a chance to hear a culture that is really in a dangerous place. Let's say it's on the endangered list of cultures. It might not be around very much longer. And their culture is wonderful, and the dancing is wonderful. I have videotapes of the dancing. It's really unique, and the costumes are fantastic. So it would really be worth everyone's while to get this exposure to this culture and this music. It's wonderful stuff.
Well, thank you so much, Evan, for your help today in sharing this fascinating tradition. My guest today has been Evan Tonsing, professor of music in the OSU Music Department. He researches and teaches a course in world music at OSU and was co-host of a program on KOSU-FM called What in the World? I'm Paula Price. Technical assistance by Craig Beebe.